On June 15, 2012, President Obama announced the creation of the Deferred Action for Child Arrivals, also known as DACA, providing temporary relief from deportation and work authorization to undocumented individuals who were brought to the U.S. as children. Referred to as Dreamers, undocumented young adults can now file their status with the government, work lawfully, attend school, and plan their lives without fear of deportation. DACA does not provide permanent legal status and must be renewed every 2 years. DACA does not provide funding for students and does not give the recipients access to public assistance or Medicaid. Dreamers often face racial discrimination, fear of deportation, and the loss of their undocumented loved ones. They are our neighbors and our community members. America is the only home they know. I'm here with Alejandro. Thank you so much for trusting us and for being here today with us to share your story.
My mom woke me up one day and she started packing my things and started getting me ready, and she told me that we were going to go on a vacation. She told me that some of my family members were going to come and pick me up first, and then they would meet up with me afterward. And so, me being 4 years old, I didn't know any better, so I believed her. It wasn't until I got on the bus and I was traveling with my 2 family members that came from the United States, and we had been traveling for quite some time, that I realized, like, okay, well, what's going on? I started getting a little nervous. I was a little scared, but I trusted the people I was with because my parents told me that's who my family was. The next thing I remember was waking up in a strange house, and I was crying. And I don't know if I had already woken up and realized I was like nowhere familiar, or I just woke up crying. But my auntie came in and picked me up, and I didn't know who she was either. This was a stranger, and she was trying to calm me down, and she told me, "It's okay. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. Your parents will be here soon. Don't worry." And she offered to make me some strawberry Nesquik milk. I don't recall how long I stayed at my auntie's house, but I'm sure it was at least a few days. This was in California. And then my other auntie, my dad's sister, she flew in from Colorado, and that was my first plane ride. I was 4, and I was amazed, but I was still pretty nervous because I was like, okay, where are my parents? This whole time I was just still waiting for my parents. And I remember arriving here. We landed in Colorado Springs, and my grandma's husband at that time, who was my step-grandfather, picked us up. Again, someone else I didn't know. And we were driving back to Pueblo, and we arrived at my grandma's house. Now, mind you, I've never met my grandma. My auntie who picked me up, I had seen her before so it was pretty hard. But then I think for me the most emotional moment was the night that my parents finally arrived. I remember that my auntie and my grandma kept telling me, they're close, they're on their way, and they're on their way. And I knew they were on their way because they told me we can no longer call them because they're on their way and they're not close to the phone. And I remember one night we were waiting for them to get dropped off. We were waiting for a phone call. And I remember my step-grandfather's niece had agreed to pick up my parents at a specific location here in Pueblo because the coyotes, they were the ones bringing them, and they knew their way around the city. So I remember it was late into the night, and I just couldn't wait. But then we finally got the call, and they gave the location of where we were supposed to meet. And I remember we got there first because we were much closer. And I remember every car that pulled up next to us, I thought that it was them. And then it wasn't. And then finally, one car pulled up to the right of us, and it was a two-door car, I remember, because the driver rolled down the window. And then my step-grandfather's niece rolled down her window, and then they said, "Are you so-and-so?" And they said, "Yes." And then I remember my mom peeked her head outside behind the driver's side seat, and she called me by my name. And I remember, like, I didn't even wait for them to get out of the car. I just, like, got out of the car and I jumped into the car to hug my parents, because it was just, I had missed them. And
The excitement.
yeah, so every time I drive by that spot, I still remember, like, that's the spot when, you know, I was reunited with my family, and I guess in a way the start of a new life. From a very early point in time, I remember my mom would sit my brother and I down, and she would talk to us, and she would tell us, if anybody asks you where you're from, you just tell them you were born here. If they ask any other questions, just tell them you don't know. She would start to prepare us, and she wouldn't do it on purpose, but she would have to instill that sense of fear in us, because in a way she was right. She didn't know what could happen if for some reason we were asked, or if we happened to tell people where we were really from, if that would jeopardize my family's safety. I grew up feeling like I always had something to hide, which I did. And
So you knew all along?
I knew all along. I just didn't know what that really meant. I knew that I had to hide it for my family's safety, but I didn't know about everything else I was missing out on. Because it didn't really affect me until I got a little older.
On September 5, 2017, the 2012 DACA memorandum was rescinded. As of August 2019, DACA recipients, or those who have had DACA in the past, can continue to renew their applications, while new applicants are no longer accepted. How did DACA change your life?
I could tell you that little things like health insurance make a big difference. And just being able to drive around without the fear of getting stopped and possibly deported. It gave me a sense of relief that I don't think I've had since I first came to the United States. And a little bit more confidence in myself and who I am. Because now I can go and show people what I'm capable of, because I have the means to do it now. And by means, I mean being able to legally work, and before that, being able to go to college. Right before I graduated, I had pretty much given up on education, because I knew that going to college was out of the question due to my financial status and my legal status. And so I had made up my mind that all I was going to do was just work jobs that paid under the table, and jobs that were going to be very hard on my body, and possibly a job that someone was going to take advantage of me in one way or another. And so DACA has now provided me a hope for the future, and not only me but my family as well.
Today, many dreamers live in fear, worrying about how long the program will last. What message would you give to children, to students, to those individuals who have all these hopes and dreams, and sometimes they feel like maybe they're not attainable? What would you say to those people?
Well, you need a lot of hope, a lot of faith, and you need to surround yourself with people that believe in you and are willing to step in for you, push you, drag you, even if they have to. Because I've had people who would have to drag me to places or things when I felt like I couldn't. And it gets better. I just don't know when, but it gets better. And you just have to continue to work hard. Because if the time comes and the opportunity presents itself and you've given up, you're going to regret it even more if you didn't try at least.
And to those who oppose immigration reform, what would you say to them?
I would say to them that I know that there are always two sides to the story, and sometimes people just choose not to hear that side of the story, our side of the story. Or sometimes they are led to believe things that are not true about most immigrants.
Say more about that. What are some things that are not true?
We're not all criminals. We don't want to hurt anybody. And we don't come looking to destroy a way of life. We come seeking a way of life. And I just hope that people could see that we, people who were brought here when they were very young, were raised in the country, that helped them attain a lot of things, education, work, friends. And we want the best for this country too. This country is my home, and I want and hope this country believes in me as much as I believe in this country.
Gracias por la confianza.
Gracias.